Remember what Jesus said? Satan has no hold on me. My kingdom is no part of this world. 26. But Jerusalem above is free, and she is our mother. For it is written, rejoice, O barren woman. It's going to tie into the Revelation. Who bears no children. Break forth and cry aloud. You who have never travailed. Because more are the children of the desolate woman, fleshly Jerusalem, than of her who has a husband. Why have I read that? To identify the woman who gives birth to this child. Yeah? So have we got that? It says, and she gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. So this child is not Yeshua. It is the body of Christ, the bride of Christ, the whole collective of the 144,000 are the child, and the mother is Jerusalem above. She is our mother. So we've got that, who the mother is and who the child is. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness where God had prepared a place for her to be nourished 1,260 days. I've already spoken about the 1,260 days. You'll have to look back on the videos. Now, remember, Galatians 4 verse 26 talks about the mother. Jerusalem above, she is our mother. Now, the wild beast, 7 heads, 10 horns. Listen. In Job, chapter 1, it gives us a clue of the setting that I'm about to read. One day, verse 6 of chapter 1. One day the sons of God came to the present to present themselves before the Lord. This is our Father in heaven. That's right. Satan is not in hell. Not here. So if you think Satan's in hell, he's not. Listen. One day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. He dared enter because he was a son. He was an angel, a mighty angel. This is what happens next. Where have you come from? Said the Lord to Satan. The Lord, Yahweh. That's what he said. From roving through the earth, he replied, and walking back and forth in it. So that's the setting in heaven. Okay. Now, if I was to go to Genesis 6, verse 3, I'm going to give you a bit of insight here as to Satan and his followers. I'm going to read it. It's Hebrew, but it's translated. Might sound a bit funny, but I have to read it from this way, that way. Okay? And said Yahweh, not shall my spirit with man forever. For indeed he is flesh, and yet shall be his days 120. This was addressed to Satan himself and his demons who came to this earth, fallen angels, put on flesh, but they weren't born. They were able to put on flesh, but they were not human. They were a hybrid. Verse 4. The Nephilim, that is giants, the offspring of these demons and Satan himself, having with the women on this earth. But their power to be able to put on flesh was taken away from them. When the flood came, they had to go. Otherwise they would have been drowned. The Nephilim were on the earth in the days of those, and also after that, when came in the sons of God to the daughters of men, and they bore children. To them, those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Mighty men and women who were born. This is where all your myths come from. And it's true. There were giants in those days. Mixing angelic with human was not meant to be. Let me read this. And like this because it's such small writing. I could enlarge it, of course. This is from the book it's an ancient book that was not allowed to be put in the canon of the 66 books of the Bible. Enoch. Yeah? Enoch was a prophet. And this is what he wrote down. Chapter 6 of the book of Enoch. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. They wanted to come to this earth, bypass the correct way, and that is to be born through the DNA of our first parents, Adam and Eve. They bypassed that. They disobeyed. Now the 144,000 are angels, just like these are. But they were the righteous ones who were willing to be born through the DNA, the gene pool of Adam and Eve. This is the correct way to come. And that meant we had to leave our glory. These angels, these demons now, did not leave their glory behind. They came as what they are. And Sanjaza, that's Satan, that's his name, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. So he knew it was a sin. He was against my Father, our Father. He hated the idea of Adam and Eve because they were going to become greater than he was. Oh yes. So they all agreed, it says. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves mutually imprecations not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. Verse 6. And they were in all 200 of these once good angels who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon. So they came down on this mountain, 200 of them, put on flesh, but they weren't really human. This was in the days of Jared on Mount Hermon. They called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders. And it goes on to tell us the leaders. They were all leaders, 200 of them. But there were many more, as we'll see. So that's a little bit of information from a prophet. His book has not been included in the Bible canon, the 66 books, when it should have been. It was found amongst all these other Dead Sea Scrolls. It was one of the books that was sacred. Now Enoch, the book of Enoch, it's actually mentioned in the Bible. In Jude, chapter 1, verse 14. I'll read 13. Because it gives you a little bit of information. This is what it says. They are the wild waves of the sea, foaming up their own shame, wandering stars, for whom blackest darkness has been reserved forever. They're going to go into the blackest of darkness forever, never to see the light again. Enoch, the seventh from Adam, also prophesied about them. This is in Jude. Prophesied about them. Behold, the Lord is coming with myriads of his holy ones to execute judgment on everyone and to convict all the ungodly of every ungodly act of wickedness and every harsh word spoken against him by the ungodly sinners. So that's part of quoting from the book of Enoch. You remember what it says there? He was the seventh from Adam. The seventh, Adam's son. Don't get mixed up between Enoch and Enoch. There was another Enoch. It was not the seventh. Bringing him in was seven again. Seventh son. Let me show you this. Wikipedia is what it says. Enoch is a person in the book of Genesis. He's described as the son of Cain, not the son of Adam. So there's two Enochs. This Enoch is the son of Cain. He wasn't the prophet. The seventh son of Adam, Enoch, was the prophet. So don't get mixed up. I thought I'd just clarify that. Now then, let's go back. Because we need to identify. Now we've got a full picture of Satan himself and his demons. 200 leaders of all the demons. And they're still the leaders to this day. Revelation 12. And she gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, so they were protected through this 3.5 years, this 1,260 days. We can reverse it, you see. There's other things that you can say about the 1,260 days. It's not just one way to look at it. There are many ways that we can look at it. But I'm bringing it up to date for our time right now. Because that's what it was wrote for. Now then. War in heaven. Listen to this. Michael, you mentioned here. I know he watches. Then a war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back. But the dragon was not strong enough, and no longer was any place found in heaven for him and his angels. At this particular time, he's allowed to come back here. Heaven, my Father's abode, where all the holy angels are, the spirits. There is no place for him anymore. So down he comes to this earth at this particular time. Just like in Noah's day. He's back with many more. Listen. This dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns. No longer was there any place found in heaven for him and his angels. And the great dragon was hurled down. John tells us who the ancient dragon is. The ancient serpent called the devil and Satan in the Garden of Eden. Yeah, who approached Adam and Eve, the serpent, the devil, the deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. That's why there is so much evil in this world today. Can you imagine if you lived next to a prison and were thousands and thousands in this prison, and they were let loose in your vicinity? What would you expect? Because in this prison there is murderers, thieves, the most wicked people you can ever imagine. They get let loose out of a prison. This has been thrown out of heaven. Verse 10. And I heard a loud voice in heaven, now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ. He's been thrown out of that heavenly abode. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down. He who accuses them day and night before our God. Just like he did with Job. Accused Job. He just serves you for what he gets out of you. You've blessed him with this, you've blessed him with that. Take everything away from him and see what happens. The same. Accuses the 144,000 day and night. They have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. By the word of your testimony. Undoing the frequency of Satan and his demons, because they've getting into people's minds. We're undoing all that. You know, to get into a child's mind and say, do you feel like a boy when she has XX chromosomes and she's a girl, or vice versa? This is what we are up against, to turn it round to what is right, the rightful thinking. And we're working hard to do so. By the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony. What you say in righteousness, you may be hated so much as I am. It makes no difference. We conquer. We might lose many battles, but we win the war. You can lose many battles, but we win the war. We are guaranteed by our Father. They did not love their lives so as to shy away from death. Why do we fear death? Amen. Kill me. Thank you so much. I'm back to my Father. And then I'll be back. You can't stop us coming back. It is impossible. But that won't happen. They're not afraid of death. Therefore, rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. We dwell in heavenly places. In here. We are from above, down below. We've come the right way, the correct way. Heavenly angels, 144,000, and we've got many more who are waking up. And they're going to be so blessed. $120, no, 100, what was it, 200 leaders. How many do we have? 144,000 make up the child, the male child that will rule with an iron sceptre.